Ambassador Jun Kim stood tall as the alien guards moved closer. The large meeting room fell silent. 3 years of talks had just ended in failure. Again. "The coalition has made its final decision," said the blue-skinned leader from behind his high desk. "Humans are denied equal status among the galactic community. This meeting is over." Jun did not beg. He did not argue. He simply gathered his papers with steady hands, while 17 alien species watched from their seats. Some looked afraid. Others seemed pleased. A few appeared sorry. "You will regret this choice," Jun said quietly. The words were not a threat, just a simple truth. The coalition guards, with their 4 arms and scaled skin, moved to escort the human team out. Captain Min, Jun's security chief, tensed but remained calm. They had planned for this outcome. As they walked through the massive crystal hallways of the Galactic Assembly, Jun activated his secure communicator. The message he sent was just 3 words: "Talks have failed." Back on Earth, General Han Taedong received the message in her underground command center. Her face showed no surprise. The politicians had insisted on trying peace one last time, but the military had expected this result. "Begin Protocol Omega," she told her staff. The officers around her moved quickly to their stations. Screens lit up across the wall as hidden human fleets across the galaxy received their new orders. "How long until the coalition realizes what we're doing?" asked her second-in-command. "They'll notice in about 6 hours when their border stations go dark," Han replied. "By then, it will be too late." On the coalition's central world, alien diplomats argued loudly about the human problem. "We should have accepted them," shouted Kang Juno, the representative from Proxima Colony. His species had lived alongside humans for decades. "You don't understand what they're capable of. They are primitive and dangerous," said the coalition's supreme leader. "Their planet is still half wild. Their people still fight wars among themselves. They are not ready." "No," Kang shook his head sadly. "You misunderstand. We didn't reject them because they're not ready. We rejected them because we're afraid." Meanwhile, the human ship carrying Ambassador Jun entered faster than light travel. Inside his private room, Jun finally allowed himself to show emotion. He had truly hoped for peace. He looked at the picture of his family on his desk and wondered what kind of galaxy they would live in now. His communication screen lit up with an incoming message from President Park. "I'm sorry, Jun," said the president. Her eyes looked tired. "You did everything possible." "What happens now?" Jun asked, although he already knew. "We show them who we really are," she answered. "The coalition thinks they know humanity. They've seen what we've allowed them to see. A young, struggling species trying to join the galactic community." She paused before continuing. "They have no idea what we've been building while we waited for their acceptance." Across the solar system, hidden shipyards began to power up. Doors built into the sides of asteroids opened to reveal vessels unlike anything the coalition had ever seen. Soldiers who had trained in secret for years boarded their ships. Scientists activated technologies that had been kept hidden from alien eyes. Earth had tried peace. Now they would try something else. As Jun's ship raced home, billions of stars stretched out in the blackness of space. Somewhere out there, 17 alien civilizations continued their daily lives, not yet knowing that everything was about to change. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had been reasonable. That time was over. Dr. Lee Sunwoo stood in the large underground lab beneath the mountains of Old Korea. Around him, hundreds of scientists worked at their stations. They had been here, hidden from alien eyes, for 15 years. "Dr. Lee, the president is calling," his assistant said, pointing to the screen. Lee walked to his office and closed the door. President Park's face appeared on the large screen. "The peace talks have failed," she said simply. "Is Project Prometheus ready?" Lee nodded. "Yes, Madam President. The ships are ready. The weapons are ready. We've been ready for 3 years, just waiting for your order." On the screen, President Park closed her eyes briefly. She had hoped this day would never come, but the coalition had made their choice. "Show me again what we have," she said. Lee pressed a button, and the wall of his office became transparent. Beyond it was an enormous underground hangar. Inside were ships unlike anything the coalition had ever seen. Our quantum displacement drives let our ships move instantly across space without using the coalition's jump gates, Lee explained. Our gravity manipulation systems can disable any known alien weapon, and our adaptive nanotech armor can repair damage almost instantly. "And they know none of this?" the president asked. "No," Lee smiled slightly. "The coalition thinks we're still using basic fusion engines. They believe we're at least 50 years behind their technology." "How wrong they are," President Park said quietly. Halfway across the galaxy, Admiral Yoon Hanna stood on the bridge of the ESS Indomitable. The massive ship was hidden inside a hollow asteroid, along with 300 other vessels of Earth's first fleet. "Admiral, we've received Protocol Omega," her communications officer reported. "All ships are to prepare for immediate deployment." Yoon nodded. She had been waiting for this moment for 5 years. Her crew was ready. Her ships were ready. "Send the signal to all captains," she ordered. "We move in 6 hours." Earth had never revealed the existence of First Fleet to the coalition. If the aliens knew that humans had built such a force in secret, they would have attacked Earth long ago. The coalition thought they knew humanity's strength. They had seen the small, outdated ships that Earth showed them. They thought humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In the Emergency Council meeting on Earth, military and civilian leaders gathered around a large table. "The coalition has bases in 6 key systems," General Han explained, pointing to the holographic map. "Admiral Yoon's First Fleet will take control of their main shipyard at Proxima Centauri. Our other hidden fleets will capture their remaining military installations simultaneously." "Casualties?" asked a council member. "Minimal, if all goes as planned," Han answered. "We don't want to kill anyone. We just want to show them our real strength." President Park studied the faces around the table. These people carried the future of humanity in their hands. "The coalition rejected us because they think we're dangerous and unpredictable," she said. "They fear what they don't understand. Today, we'll show them that their fear was justified. But not in the way they expected." She stood up straight. "We didn't want this. We tried for peace for 20 years. But if they won't accept us as equals, they will learn to respect us as opponents." "What about the neutral species?" another council member asked. "Those who aren't part of the coalition. We've already contacted them secretly," replied Minister Choi from the Diplomatic Corps. "Many have suffered under coalition rules. They're waiting to see what we do next." As the meeting ended, President Park asked Dr. Lee to stay behind. "Doctor, I need to know," she said when they were alone. "Did we make the right choice, hiding our true abilities all these years?" Lee thought for a moment before answering. "The coalition would never have accepted us as equals if they knew our potential," he said. "They would have destroyed us before we could grow stronger. Our patience and secrecy have given us a chance." President Park nodded. In 6 hours, the universe would change forever, and humanity would finally step out of the shadows. The coalition monitoring station at the edge of the Orion Arm was quiet. 4 alien officers watched their screens, bored after months of seeing nothing unusual. Their job was to track all ships moving through this sector of space. No ship could pass without being seen. Or so they thought. At exactly 300 Earth Standard Time, all the lights on their station went out. The backup power failed too. Their communications stopped working. The aliens looked at each other in confusion and fear. When the lights came back on 1 minute later, a human woman in a dark uniform stood in the room with them. "Your station is now under Earth control," she said calmly. "Please stay in your seats. You will not be harmed." The same thing happened at 27 other coalition monitoring stations at the exact same moment. In one swift move, humanity had blinded the coalition's eyes across a quarter of the galaxy. Admiral Yoon Hanna stood on the bridge of the ESS Indomitable. Through the main window, she could see the massive coalition shipyard orbiting Proxima Centauri. It was their largest military installation, home to over 10,000 alien workers and soldiers. All ships in position, her tactical officer reported. Yoon nodded. Activate quantum field. A shimmering blue light spread from the human ships, surrounding the entire shipyard. Inside the field, all coalition weapons and communications would stop working. Open all channels, Yoon ordered. She stepped forward and spoke clearly, knowing her words would be heard by every being in the shipyard. This is Admiral Yoon Hanna of Earth Space Forces. Your facility is now under human control. All weapons and communication systems have been disabled. Do not attempt resistance. No harm will come to you if you cooperate. She paused to let her words sink in. We have taken control of 6 critical coalition installations simultaneously. Your leaders can no longer reach you. Your defense forces cannot help you. On her screen, she could see confusion and fear spreading through the shipyard. The alien workers were looking around, trying to understand how hundreds of human ships had appeared from nowhere. We will send teams to your command center. Your officers will surrender control peacefully. Your workers will continue their normal duties under human supervision. Yoon turned to her second-in-command. Begin boarding operations. Teams of human soldiers, wearing the new nanotech armor that could stop any known alien weapon, transported to key points throughout the shipyard. They met little resistance. Most aliens simply stared in shock at the humans who had appeared from nowhere. In the Coalition's Central Command on their homeworld, alarms were blaring. Supreme Commander Gill, a tall alien with gray skin and 6 eyes, rushed into the control room. Report, he demanded. Sir, we've lost contact with all monitoring stations in the Orion Arm, an officer said. And we're getting reports that humans have taken control of our shipyard at Proxima Centauri. Impossible, Jill said. Their ships would have been detected. Sir, we're also getting reports from Sector 7, Sector 12, and the Antares base, all saying the same thing. Human forces have appeared and taken control. Jill stared at the map showing all the locations that had gone dark. It was a perfectly executed military operation, and it should have been impossible. How many ships do they have? He asked quietly. Reports suggest at least 600 vessels, sir. Most of them types we've never seen before. Jill sank into his chair. The humans had hidden their true strength all along. While the Coalition had watched the small public Earth fleet, a much larger, more advanced force had been built in secret. Contact the Coalition Council, he ordered. Tell them we need to reconsider our position on humans. But even as he spoke, he knew it was too late. The Coalition had made their choice, and now humanity had made theirs. Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Humans had struck, and they had won without firing a single shot. 3 days had passed since the human forces took control of the Coalition's key military and industrial sites. No shots had been fired. No one had died. But the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely. Supreme Commander Gill stood before the Coalition Council. The large circular room was filled with representatives from 17 different species. Many were shouting. Some were arguing. Fear filled the air. How could this happen? Demanded the Toral representative, his red scales flaring in anger. You told us humans were primitive. You said they had only a small fleet. Gill tried to keep his voice steady. They hid their true capabilities from us. They showed us only what they wanted us to see. And you believed them. The Toral shouted. Your job was to protect us. From the back of the room, diplomatic liaison Kang Junho watched quietly. He had worked with humans for years. He had warned the council many times not to underestimate them. We should have listened to Kang, said the Vreen delegate, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly. He told us humans were different. Kang stepped forward when the council leader called his name. Humans have a saying, he told the gathered aliens. Hope for peace, prepare for war. We saw their hope for peace and ignored their preparations. The room fell silent. "How many ships do they have?" asked a counselor. "We don't know," Jill admitted. "Our sensors cannot detect their quantum technology." "They could have thousands." "What do they want?" asked another. Kang answered, "They sent a message 1 hour ago. They're willing to meet with us." "To negotiate?" asked the council leader hopefully. "No," Kang replied. "To accept our surrender." The council erupted in angry shouts again. Meanwhile, on the Proxima Centauri shipyard, Admiral Hume was giving a tour to an unusual guest, the Prime Minister of the Belari, a species that had been neutral in the conflict between humans and the Coalition, had arrived to see for himself what humans had accomplished. "Our ships use quantum displacement instead of traditional drives," Hume explained as they walked through the hangar. "We can appear anywhere in the galaxy in seconds." The Belari Prime Minister, a tall being with smooth blue skin, looked impressed. "And the Coalition never detected this technology." "We kept it hidden," Hume said. "We showed them our old ships while building these in secret." "Clever," the Prime Minister nodded. "The Coalition has controlled smaller species for too long. They limited our growth, restricted our technology." He turned to face Hume directly. "The Belari would like to sign a separate peace treaty with Earth. We want no part in the Coalition's conflict with you." Hume smiled. "I will inform Earth immediately." Back on Earth, President Park was meeting with her advisors when the news came in. "The Belari have offered a separate peace treaty," her aide announced. "And we've just received word that the Toral and Vreem may do the same." "The Coalition is breaking apart," General Han said with satisfaction. President Park looked thoughtful. "This is happening faster than we expected. 3 species already willing to break from the Coalition." "They fear us," Minister Choi suggested. "After seeing what we can do." "No," the President shook her head. "They don't just fear us. They see an opportunity. Many of these species have been unhappy under Coalition rule. We've given them a chance to break free." Dr. Lee Sunwoo, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "This was always about more than just humanity's place in the galaxy. The Coalition structure was unfair to many species." "What happens next?" asked General Han. President Park stood up and walked to the window. From her office, she could see the rebuilt skyline of New Seoul. Humanity had survived wars, disasters, and near extinction many times. Now they were changing the face of galactic politics without firing a shot. "Now," she said, "we show them who we really are." 1 week after humanity's coordinated takeover, the Coalition finally agreed to meet. This time, they came to Earth. The meeting room in New Geneva was large and bright, with windows showing the rebuilt city and the mountains beyond. 6 Coalition representatives sat on one side of the table. The Earth delegation, led by Minister Choi, sat on the other. "We are prepared to discuss terms," said the Coalition leader stiffly. He did not look happy to be there. Minister Choi, a woman with calm eyes and gray hair, nodded. "Before we begin, I want you to understand something about humans." She pressed a button, and the large wall screen lit up with images of Earth's history. "This is our home planet," she explained. "Throughout our history, we have faced many threats to our survival." The screen showed natural disasters, massive hurricanes, erupting volcanoes, devastating earthquakes. "Our world is beautiful but harsh," Choi continued. "For thousands of years, we struggled against nature itself. The images changed to show wars, conflicts, and destruction. We also fought against ourselves," she said quietly. "We nearly destroyed our civilization many times." The Coalition representatives watched in silence as the images continued. "When we finally reach the stars, we hope to find peace. We hope to join a community of species who had moved beyond such struggles." She looked directly at the Coalition leader. "Instead, we found the Coalition, a system where stronger species control weaker ones, where technology is limited and growth is restricted. Those rules exist for everyone's safety. The coalition leader protested. Choi smiled slightly. Safety was never our primary concern. Survival was. She showed a new set of images, human colonies on harsh planets, people working together to build habitats in space, scientists developing new technologies. You rejected us because you thought we were too violent, too unpredictable. You didn't understand that these qualities came from our need to survive. The room was quiet as Choi's words sank in. We don't fight because we want to, she explained. We fight because we've never had the choice not to. In another room of the same building, Dr. Lee Sunwoo was showing some of Earth's technology to a group of coalition scientists. Their eyes were wide with amazement. Your quantum displacement drive breaks several laws of physics as we understand them, said one alien scientist. Lee nodded. We had to think differently. When we first reached space, we saw how far behind we were. The coalition was thousands of years ahead of us in many areas. So how did you catch up so quickly? Another scientist asked. Necessity, Lee answered simply. We knew we needed to be seen as equals or we would always be controlled. So we worked harder, thought more creatively, took more risks. He activated a small device on the table. A complex hologram appeared, showing technology even more advanced than what Earth had already revealed. This is what we're working on now, he said. We call it phase shift technology. It would allow ships to exist partially in another dimension. The alien scientists looked shocked. One of them asked, "Why are you showing us this?" Lee smiled. Because we're tired of hiding who we are. Back in the main meeting room, Minister Choi was concluding her presentation. You thought our desire for peace was weakness, she told the coalition representatives. It wasn't. It was wisdom born from painful experience. She turned off the screen and sat down again. We know what war costs. We've paid that price many times. That's why we tried diplomacy first, even when we could have forced our way. The coalition leader looked troubled. After a long moment, he asked, "What do humans want now?" The same thing we always wanted, Choi replied. To be treated as equals. To share knowledge rather than have it restricted. To build rather than be limited. She leaned forward. And we want something else now. The truth about why the coalition has been so determined to control technological development across the galaxy. The coalition representatives looked at each other nervously. We don't know what you mean, the leader said, but his voice shook slightly. Yes, you do, Choi said firmly. We've captured your databases. We're analyzing your secret communications. There's something you've been hiding from most of your own species. She waited, watching their faces. Something is coming, isn't it? Something that frightens even the coalition. Intelligence Director Bai Jin worked day and night for 2 weeks. With his team of analysts, he searched through the captured coalition data. They knew something important was hidden there. Director Ba, I found something, called one of his analysts late one night. Look at these readings from deep space monitoring stations. Ba looked at the screen. Strange energy patterns were detected from the space between galaxies. The readings went back over 80 years. Why would they hide this? He asked himself. 3 hours later, Ba stood before the Joint Human Coalition Council. This new group included leaders from Earth and representatives from both coalition and neutral species. They had gathered in the large meeting room in New Geneva. I found something in the coalition's secret files, Ba began. He showed them the strange readings on the main screen. Something is moving toward our galaxy from deep space. The room was silent. Ba continued. The coalition has been tracking this for 80 years. They call it the silence. Ba looked directly at the coalition High Counselor Min, the most senior alien present. You knew about this all along. This is why you've been controlling technology and limiting expansion. Min, an old alien with pale skin and 6 fingers on each hand, looked down. Then he slowly stood up. Yes, he admitted. We have known about the silence for many decades. What exactly is it? President Park asked. Min touched a device on his wrist. A new image appeared on the screen. A massive, dark shape moving through space. It looked like a cloud, but with structure and purpose. They consume everything, Min said quietly. Energy, technology, life itself. They have destroyed 11 galaxies that we know of. The room erupted in shocked voices. President Park raised her hand for quiet. How long do we have? She asked. Based on their current speed, about 20 years before they reach the outer arms of our galaxy, Min answered. And you kept this secret? General Han demanded. You rejected humanity while facing this threat. Min looked at the human leaders. Would you have believed us, or would you have thought it was a trick to control human expansion? General Han had no answer for that. What defenses has the coalition planned? Dr. Lee asked. Min touched his device again. New images showed defensive stations and weapon platforms positioned at the edge of the galaxy. We've been building these for 50 years, he explained. Energy barriers, planet-sized weapons, evacuation systems for core worlds. Dr. Lee studied the designs carefully. After a long moment, he looked up. These won't work, he said simply. The alien representatives looked shocked. These are our best designs, said a coalition engineer, created by our top minds. They're based on conventional thinking, Lee replied. They might slow the silence, but they won't stop it. How can you know that? Min asked. Lee pointed to the data showing the silence's movement patterns. Look at how they adapt. They learn from each defense they encounter. Your barriers might work for a short time, but the silence will find a way through. Then we are doomed, Min said. No, President Park shook her head. We're not. She turned to Dr. Lee. How quickly can you bring together a team? Human scientists and the best minds from all species. 2 days, Lee answered. Less if we use the quantum network. Park nodded and looked around the room. We have 20 years to prepare. That might seem short to some of you, but for humans, it's a lifetime of innovation. She stood up. The coalition rejected us because you thought we were dangerous and unpredictable. Now those qualities might save us all. Director Ba watched the faces of the alien representatives. He saw fear, but also something new, hope. I have a question, Ba said to Min. If you've known about this threat for so long, why didn't you unite all species? Why keep fighting among yourselves? Min looked sad. Fear makes people build walls, not bridges. We thought control was safer than cooperation. That, said President Park, is where humans differ from you. When faced with extinction, we don't hide or control. We innovate, we adapt, and above all, we work together. For the first time since humans had taken control of coalition facilities, the aliens truly began to understand why Earth might be exactly what the galaxy needed. 1 month after the revelation about the silence, representatives from 32 species gathered on Earth. They met in a huge dome built specially for this meeting, in what was once called Antarctica. The cold, isolated continent was now home to Earth's largest research center. General Han stood at the front of the room. On the large screen behind her, the coalition's defensive plans were displayed. Your strategy has 3 major flaws, she told the gathered aliens. She pointed to specific parts of the plan. First, your defense line is fixed. It cannot move or adapt. Second, you focus on stopping the silence completely, which your own data shows is impossible. And third, you have no backup plan. Many of the alien military leaders looked offended. One stood up angrily. These plans were made by our best strategists over decades, he said. Who are humans to question them? Instead of answering directly, General Han showed a new set of images. They were scenes from Earth's military history. Throughout our history, humans have faced enemies with better weapons, more soldiers, and stronger positions, she explained. We survived because we learned to think differently. She changed the display to show a new defense plan. We don't try to build a wall that the silence can eventually break through. Instead, we create a flexible defense that can adapt as they do. We don't try to stop them completely. We slow them down, study them, and look for specific weaknesses. The alien leaders studied the new plans carefully. "This might work," admitted one, a veteran commander from a species known for their military skill. "It's unlike anything we would have considered." "Because your civilizations evolved in relative peace," Han explained. "Ours was forged in constant conflict. We don't think like you." In another part of the research center, Dr. Lee Sunwoo was working with a mixed team of human and alien scientists. They were testing new weapons based on human quantum technology. "The phase shift field is stable," reported a blue-skinned alien scientist. "But I don't understand how it works." "It doesn't just block energy," Lee explained. "It shifts it partially into another dimension. The silence can't consume what it can't fully interact with." "Brilliant," said the alien. "Your people developed this technology for peaceful exploration." "Yes," Lee nodded. "But we also prepared versions that could be used for defense. We hoped we would never need them." Another scientist entered the lab hurriedly. "Dr. Lee, President Park is ready to show the full extent of Earth's preparations." In the main control room, President Park stood before representatives from all species. The mood was solemn yet hopeful. "When we first reached space," she began, "we realized how vulnerable Earth was. We knew we needed to prepare for any threat." She activated the main display. It showed thousands of hidden locations throughout the galaxy, shipyards built inside asteroids, defense platforms disguised as small moons, automated factories hidden in nebulas. "While we sought peace with the coalition, we prepared for the worst," Park explained. "We built this network in secret, always careful to stay beyond your sensor range." The alien representatives stared in amazement. High Counselor Min shook his head in disbelief. "How did you build all this without detection?" he asked. "We had to," Park answered simply. "We didn't know if we would ever be accepted as equals, so we made sure we could protect ourselves if needed." She switched to a new display, showing even more human assets: massive ships under construction, weapons platforms, and research stations. "Everything we've built, all our technology and resources, are now committed to the defense against the silence," she said. "We prepared for war with you. Now we'll use those preparations to save us all." Admiral Yoon stepped forward. "Our hidden fleets are already moving to key positions. Our quantum network is being expanded to include all coalition worlds." Dr. Lee added, "And our research teams are working to develop new defenses specifically designed for the silence." President Park looked around the room at the faces of so many different species. "You feared humans because we are adaptable, unpredictable, and sometimes aggressive," she said. "Those same qualities may now be our galaxy's best hope." For the first time, the gathered representatives began to understand. What they had seen as human flaws might be exactly what was needed to face an enemy that consumed everything in its path. The silence was coming, but humanity was ready. 5 years passed since the discovery of the silence. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Where once 17 separate species competed under coalition rule, now 32 worked together. The old borders were gone. The old restrictions on technology had been lifted. And at the center of it all was humanity. Admiral Yoon Hanna stood on the bridge of the flagship Determination. It was the largest ship ever built, a joint project between humans and 5 other species. Through the main window, she could see the vast fleet stretching out before her. 10,000 ships from dozens of worlds, all prepared to defend the galaxy. "Final position reached, Admiral," reported her first officer. Yoon nodded. "Signal all ships. Activate phase shift fields." A shimmering blue light spread across the entire fleet. The ships now existed partially in another dimension, just as Dr. Lee had designed. It was humanity's greatest technological achievement, shared freely with all their allies. "The first wave of the silence will reach our position in 6 hours," said a Bellari officer at the sensor station. His people had once been neutral, caught between humanity and the coalition. Now they were some of Earth's strongest allies. All defense stations report ready, added a former coalition commander. She wore the new United Species insignia on her uniform, as did everyone on the bridge. Yoon touched the communication panel on her chair. "This is Admiral Yoon to all ships. The moment we have prepared for is almost here. Remember your training. Trust your allies. We stand together." In the command center on Earth, President Park met with representatives from all participating worlds. The mood was tense but determined. "The outer sensors have given us our first clear look at the silence," she told the gathered leaders. She activated the main screen. Everyone stared at the dark, swirling mass approaching the galaxy. It moved with purpose, consuming everything in its path. Stars went dark as it passed. Planets were reduced to empty husks. "It's exactly as the coalition data described," said Counselor Min. In the years since the truth was revealed, he had become one of the strongest supporters of cooperation. "The difference is that now we're ready," President Park replied, "because we faced the truth together." She looked around at the diverse faces in the room, beings with different shapes, colors, and evolutionary histories. 5 years ago, many of them had been enemies. Now they worked side by side. "Our combined fleet is in position," she told them. "Our defense systems are active. Our evacuation plans are ready if needed. Now we wait." On the Determination, Admiral Yoon received an unexpected visitor in her ready room. It was Kang Junho, the former diplomatic liaison who had once tried to warn the coalition about underestimating humans. "I wanted to see this moment from the front lines," Kang explained. Yoon gestured for him to take a seat. "You were right about us all along," she said. Kang smiled slightly. "I lived among humans. I saw what others couldn't see, your resilience, your creativity when faced with challenges." "And now?" Yoon asked. "Now the whole galaxy sees it," Kang replied. "When the peace talks failed, many thought humans would seek revenge. Instead, you chose to save everyone, even those who rejected you." The ship's alert system sounded. Yoon and Kang returned to the bridge quickly. "The silence has accelerated," reported the sensor officer. "First contact in 30 minutes." Yoon took her command position. Around her, officers from 6 different species worked together smoothly. Each brought unique perspectives and abilities to the fight ahead. "Open channel to all ships," she ordered. When the connection was ready, she spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Admiral Yoon to all ships. The moment has come. We began as strangers, some as enemies. We continue as allies. And if we survive today, perhaps we'll end as friends." Across the massive fleet, beings from 32 worlds prepared for battle. The technologies they used came from many sources, but the strategies that guided them were largely human, adaptable, unpredictable, and born from millennia of struggle. As the first tendrils of darkness approached the fleet, Yoon gave the order to engage. The first shots were fired against the silence. In that moment, the universe finally understood what humans had known all along, that true strength lies not in domination or control, but in the unyielding refusal to surrender even against impossible odds, and in the courage to stand together when darkness comes.